Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. On today's podcast, we're actually going to be talking about an image I photographed this past weekend over at Mount St. Helens and everything that kind of went into putting it together and getting the final image. So stay tuned and here we go. So here's what happened. The story actually begins long before I even took off over there. I enjoyed photographing Mount St. Helens, and I've gone up there several times, and every time it's always been kind of fun and you know, whatever. My biggest concern when I head up there is the deer and the elk. There's been a few times where I've actually had to completely stop in the middle of the road, just so I can allow them to cross by, you know, along with honking my horn and whatnot. You know, and it didn't help that weeks before, I was listening to, I work nights, so I was listening to podcasts on Bigfoot and whatnot. And when my family and we headed up to Forks, Washington to go on vacation, you know, I kept telling my wife, you know, geez, I hope we don't run into Bigfoot. I hope we don't, you know, have Bigfoot sightings. And she just kind of looked at me and laughed and just kept making fun of me. So anyways, I'm driving down, and what's running through my mind is, it would be nice if there's one or two other people out there at the same time, then, you know, I won't feel isolated or whatever. So, I pulled my grips up, grabbed a drink, and took off. And I get all the way up there, and it was nice to see that there were a few cars that were driving by. You know, it was reassuring to know that, hey, yes, there are people still out and about in the middle of the night. I take my turn in that one particular area. It's blocked off to the public. And I think it's more of a seasonal thing. They don't want people going up there and accidentally getting into, you know, falling off the side of the road or anything. But so I crossed that where they usually had the barrier up. I crossed it, and I start making my way up, and I see a little sign that says 6 miles. So I'm like, cool, I can go for that. I felt like I was driving like 20, 30 miles, you know, and I could just watch my fuel tank my fuel meter just starting to drop. So I get up there and I get to the actual spot. Finally, the road kind of veers off, and I pull into this parking lot. And I was expecting to see like some sort of observatory with a big parking lot with a huge building. No, nothing. I get there and it's one big parking lot. And, you know, I think it was around 11:30 when I pulled up there. There's only one vehicle in the parking lot. And at that late at night, with their windows up and everything and the lights off, I wasn't about to go over there and ask them, hey, how do I find this spot? So I'm driving around in circles, and the whole time I'm thinking in my mind, man, I hope I didn't drive all the way out here for nothing. So I find the sign, I check out the sign, and the sign says, oh, look, here's a little pathway to walk. And I'm thinking, I'm not going to hike out here. You know, what if Bigfoot's sitting out here waiting for me, or cougar, or who knows what else. So, but I do recall when I was driving up there, probably about half a mile or less, there was a lookout point. So I was like, what the heck? What do I have to lose? I go to the lookout point, and sure enough, boom, that's where all the classic shots of Mount St. Helens were taken. I pull up, and there was a car next to me, and the guy was kind of glaring at me, and it didn't occur to me until after I was packing up that I actually had parked in a handicap spot. Now, there's only like 2 or 3 other people out there at the moment, so I'm like, well, what does this old geezer have to be upset with? So anyways, I got there, pulled all my stuff, got all my gear, got my flashlights, got my tripod, and got everything ready to go. And the whole time, this old man's just in his car, he's looking at me, he's like, just give me a stink eye. It's like, what the heck, old man? Go do your thing. Go scurry on or something. So I get all the way out to my spot, I set everything up, I do a couple of test shots. Now keep in mind, I use a 50 millimeter. That's usually my dedicated landscape lens that I use. Why it's a 1.4 lens, and I mean, I will talk more about specs and whatnot, but one of the reasons I really wanted to go out there one last time is because I had a lens that I bought off of eBay, which was funny because it was actually from a pawn shop back where I came from. They're the ones who ended up selling it to me and shipped it to me. It was a 28 millimeter lens. It was a 3.5 lens, but it's a special lens. It's an awesome lens. It's a beautiful lens, and it actually took the photo that I took while in Forks of the Tree of Life. And so in just a little bit, I will actually post the link to that photo. And yes, it is available for purchase if you guys are interested. It's a beautiful shot. Anyways, back to the story. I took a couple of shots with the 50mm lens. I took about 3 or 4 different shots and I pieced it together into a big old panel. Well, the 28mm lens, I knew I was going to get much more real estate in the actual photo. So I popped it on and I upped my settings on my camera as far as I could, got my quick shot so I knew where I needed to adjust it. And then came the I shouldn't say tricky part, it's actually pretty easy to figure out, is the long exposure time that I needed. When I started crunching the numbers, it was actually, my actual photo was about 25 minutes long, a little bit over that. And the way I try to do my landscape stuff, I try to underexpose it by at least a stop. Well, if it would have been a full stop and if I would have actually gotten the full time, it would have been closer to an hour of exposure time in order to get that shot. So I was very happy at the 25-minute mark. I mean, during the whole time, I'm playing games on my phone, I'm dancing around to music that I've got going on, and I'm just kind of walking around, and I keep hearing things. I keep hearing rustling. I see things moving. And the thing that was, real concerning is I kept hearing this rustling over here in the corner, over in the side. So what I do, I got my flashlight out, and I've got high power flashlights. I'm a little nerdy that way. Then I fire it up this way, and sure enough, it's that old geezer out of his car, and now he's over there taking pictures. And photographers, they're kind of funny. They're all over the spectrum. So I point my flashlight. I'm looking because I'm waiting for something to jump out at me, because sure enough, there are coyotes and there are different things. There's mountain lions. Who knows? But I've got the light over there, and all of a sudden I hear, "Is that really necessary?" And I was like, okay, good. It's just that guy. So I'm like, you know what, sir? Sorry about that. My apologies. That won't happen again. So I go back and I'm just waiting for my exposure. 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes goes by, and finally it's done. I took a look at it. It was just absolutely gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Now keep in mind this lens that I use is a 3.5 f3.5 lens. So it's not very fast. And actually I shot this thing at 5.6 because I wanted more clarity in the picture. So yeah. So the whole time I'm headed up there to do this photo, the things that were on my mind were not actually taking the photo. That was the easy part. At least it was for me. Other photographers might fret around with settings and trying to get that perfect look. Nope. It's just natural. I know how to do it. I know where my lens is. I know where that stuff needs to be at. So in my mind, instead of focusing on the actual taking a picture, I was more focused on all the things rattling around my mind. The Bigfoot, the deer and the elk, the old geezer that's yelling at me, and then knowing that I have to go back through all that and trek through all that again. Plus, I might be out of gas by the time I get back. So that's all on my mind. Made me a little nervous, not gonna lie. So I take the shot. I take a couple of shots. I get the look that I'm after. I get the picture, and I'm like, okay, done deal. Keep in mind, this is my last time that I'm actually headed to Mt. Helens. I was originally trying to get the Milky Way, but I knew I was going to have a difficult time trying to do it with the 3.5 lens, only because I needed something faster, like my 1.4 or my 1.2. So yeah, that was the initial intent, was to get the Mt. Helens and to do a double exposure or take two images and just mash them together, so I can get the Milky Way on one part of the image and Mt. Helens on the other. Well, I didn't get that, but I got a nice shot anyways. So I packed everything up and I took off, and just like coming up there, I had to dodge deer. There was stuff all over the road. There was half a deer on the side of the road, and I mean, there was raccoons everywhere. But you know what? These are the things that were rattling in my head the whole time I'm taking this photo. I wasn't thinking, oh, my settings, oh, I need this, I need that, I need to set it at this, if I do this, if I angle up. No, you know what? I've been shooting for a long time. All that stuff is like second nature to me. And so I have found that is actually more, that happens more and more as I do more and more photos. There was a photo shoot, quick side note, there's a photo shoot I did of this young lady, and my mouth was just jabbering away, and I said something that was maybe a little bit offensive to her, and all of a sudden that look in her face gone, that smile, beautiful smile that she had, totally gone, and I knew that I had crossed the line. And so the whole time I'm photographing, in my mind I'm like, oh my gosh, why did you say that? You're such an idiot. I can't believe you did that. Next time just shut your mouth. And the whole time my hands are just taking photos. Boom, 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 boom. I'm directing her, do this, do this, do this. And in my mind, that's just rattling around in my brain. And I actually didn't touch the photos for a long time. And maybe this is a different podcast I'll get to, but long story short, I trust my hands and my eyes to take the photo and get the shot that I need without my brain telling me how to do it. And I think that most experienced photographers eventually get to that point where you're not thinking about the camera, you're just taking a look at what's in front of you, you're capturing it, you're getting the best image, you're being creative without having to worry about all the technical stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm very, very technical when it comes to stuff. And I would prefer to actually talk shop with most photographers any day of the week, talking about settings and lenses and just gear stuff. So anyways, maybe I'll do that on another video, but I wanted to share some of the story behind that went behind this photo. And I know it's silly, and it's, I'm probably going to kill a little bit of your time, but you know what? These are the things that go through my head when I'm doing shots like this. I'm listening to music, I'm just having a greater time. It's actually really, it's more therapeutic for me than anything else. I started with landscapes, and so doing this, it's like I said, it's very therapeutic. I go out there, I put my headphones on, I relax, I get into just a state where I'm just calm. Throughout the week, I'm always busy, I'm on the run, I work nights, I'm trying to live with family or try to have, a family and take care of them and do everything for them. Sometimes you just need a little bit of alone time, a little bit of me time. Well, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. Like I said, this is a newer podcast. I'm trying to get this up and going. Where I actually I'm going to tell you guys more about stories, more about different things, and some of the stories behind the photos. And I actually would like to get other photographers involved into this. I can take a look at one of their images, we can talk about it, they can tell me the story behind their image. And we can create what's called, storytellers for photographers. So, once again, my name is Josh Gutierrez. I'm with JK Live Photography, and this was my story.